And in. 6 weeks ago, in qualifying at the Winston Invitational, Cory McClenathan was involved in one of the scariest incidents in recent memory. The Mac Attack top fuel dragster literally broke in 2 pieces, hit the wall very hard, and trapped the driver in a blazing inferno. Cory's hands were burned badly enough to necessitate a stay in the hospital, and obviously the car was totally destroyed. But this weekend, the McClenathan team is back with their backup car and a driver eager to get back into action. When this big rig pulled into the pits last Wednesday, there was still some doubt as to whether Cory McClenathan could physically drive this race car with his burned hands. Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Evans. Cory, were you even sure if you could do it?
No, I really wasn't. We were just, talked to my dad, and we decided to get the rig back here for this race in New Jersey. And it was basically, go out there, kid. If you can, drive the car, we'll race. If not, we'll sit and watch the races and wait till New Jersey. But we're really happy to be here.
You need this car to go straight. Steering is painful.
Yeah, it's a real problem. The boys, fix it up the best they can, make it easy as they can, but the conditions, the cloud cover and everything coming in, the car's got plenty of power, and it went out there to smoke tires. So it's a bit hard to drive, but we'll get over it.
I know you will. He did indeed smoke the tires in round 1 earlier, but Shelly Anderson banged the blower, and Cory Mack survived round number 1. There were 2 big upsets in round 1 of Top Fuel. Kenny Bernstein, a rare red light. He left too soon, and maybe it was something Doug Herbert did that caused that to happen. I can't remember the last time that Kenny Bernstein was early or late. He deep staged. Did that bother you at all?
Well, I expected it. I thought it was going to happen, but I probably looked up and saw that light and didn't pay enough attention to what I was doing. When you make a mistake like that, it's just driver concentration is all it is. There's nothing in between.
It's not easy.
No, it's not, but that's what we get paid to do. We got to do better.
Then the number 2 driver in Winston Points, Ed McCullough, could not keep pace with Tommy Johnson Jr. McCullough struggled all weekend long. A first-round loss here is disastrous to his hopes for a title.
Today just wasn't a good day. I mean, we struggled here when we came in. This racetrack's pretty difficult, and we really didn't achieve our goals, and I did a real poor driving job right there, so that's the way it goes.
All in all, the performances in the first round of Top Fuel were not all that earth-shaking. But in Funny Car, one driver fired a shot. Here's Brock Yates.
And, Steve, the weapon he used, as it were, is this Funny Car, owned by Roland Leong, crewed by Leonard Hughes, and driven by Gordy Bonnin, who laid down a 5:23 in the first round. Sensational, Gordy. I know you qualified well, but I'm sure it's bringing back memories of Rockingham when you took this car all the way to the finals.
Yeah, it is, Brock. It's, again, it's one round at a time, and we've all been here before. I've been here for a long time, and like I told you before, I love being back in this car in the Hawaiian Vacation Dodge, and yeah, it's shades of Rockingham, but it's one round at a time, and we just tried to repeat on our 5:30 from yesterday. The 23 was a good place to start for today.
Well, it was real hot yesterday and muggy. Now it's cooled off a little bit. We got a little cloud cover. Do you think you run quicker?
I think we can, yeah. We just go out and repeat. Keeps cool. It'll run a team. We've got to go out there and, like it's the final round at the end of every round. We got a lot of catching up to do, and we just don't want to beat ourselves, and I think we'll be just fine.
Good luck. Go get them.
Thank you.
Okay, Gordy Bonnin. And now, for more on Pro Stock, let's go to our new broadcast partner, Frank Hawley.
Thanks, Brock. It's great to be here. As usual, competition in Pro Stock Eliminator here in Memphis this weekend is really tough. And there's one driver that made the transition from Comp Eliminator into Pro Stock, and I'll tell you, at the first of the year, he had some problems, not going a few rounds, even qualifying. But this weekend, David Rampi has found the combination. What's working for you, David?
Well, we were new to the class, and we had a brand-new car, and, we had to get the car sorted out, and, the crew chief, he was kind of new to it, so we had to get him, he had to get dialed into everything, and just taking a little bit of time, and things is just kind of going our way, and Winnebago at Tasca has just, stood behind us and made it possible for us to do this.
Good luck. Now let's go back to Steve.
Okay, Frank, and we present to you, everyone at home, the second round of Top Fuel Eliminator. And it will face Doug Herbert, that tricky little devil that might have caused Kenny Bernstein to red light in round number 1, up against Joe Amato. Amato in the near lane, the 5-time Winston champion, has just 1 win this year. If you're not familiar with the term deep stage, well, it's pretty simple. That's when a driver pulls his front wheels deeper into the starting line beams than he normally would. Normally you pre-stage, then you stage with both little yellow lights on the Christmas tree in your lane. If you want a deep stage, maybe just before the tree is activated, you let the car slide forward a few inches. Joe Amato has been known to do it from Old Forge, Pennsylvania, but the man who does it pretty consistently is Doug Herbert. You never know for sure if he will or not, but probably 75% of the time Doug will deep stage. The advantage to deep staging absolutely escapes me. Other than once in a while it might be a psychological weapon, Brock Yates. Other than that, I think it's more of a detriment.
Well, you sometimes will just fake the opponent into seeing that car movement, and he'll jump a little bit and catch a red light, but it is a dangerous, dangerous game to play. Remember now, both these guys have run over 300 miles an hour, so you got a couple of really very strong race cars and excellent drivers going at each other right now.
You bet. Doug Herbert, let's see if he deep stages now. Yes, they both do. And Herbert red light. Incredible. Amato banks the floor but wins it because Doug Herbert has red lighted. That's unbelievable. Boy, was Amato ready for him. Let's go to Frank.
Looks like you guys dodged a bullet that time. What happened, do you think?
I don't know. We've been having some problems. Obviously, it backfired. It blew the blower off again. Just have to get down there and look at it and see what we got left.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Okay. Whoa, that was a big surprise there. They deep stage simultaneously. All right, there's a Whit Bazemore pit area. He faces up with Wyatt Radke in round number 2. A couple of guys have been having problems. Looking pretty good today. Stay with us from Memphis.
The driver, Wyatt Radke, who's doubling up with a little mechanical work on this man's car. That's Johnny West. Those guys are going to face Whit Bazemore in the funny car round 2 competition coming up. But first, let's go back to the starting line for more Top Fuel action. This, too, is round 2 action. That's Doug Foxworth, and he will be going against Michael Brotherton.
Now, Doug Foxworth is the second driver in 2 races to sit in baseball star Jack Clark's Taco Bell special. The primary driver, John Andretti, has been busy the whole month of May at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. That's his primary form of racing. What a great job he did in this car in Atlanta getting into the semis. Michael Brotherton knows how strong that machine is. He's now moved his base back to Texas. And Doug Foxworth is the driver of record here this weekend. He has his own car that he runs very sparingly. And this is a great opportunity for Doug Foxworth to drive somebody else's first-rate equipment, kind of the hired gun out of Texas.
Well, he qualified number 12 at a 498, beat Jim Head in round number 1.
Here they go. Ooh, Brotherton with fire on the left side of the motor, but he stays with it. Oh, I don't know how that motor didn't blow completely to Venus, but somehow it didn't. Still, Brotherton loses to Foxworth's 511 at 288 miles an hour. So Foxworth falls off just a little bit. Frank is with his crew chief.
Your second race and your second semifinal, you got to be pleased.
Oh, the guys are doing a super job. All the credit goes to them. They don't let me work on the car. I think that's why it's doing so good.
It doesn't even matter who you got in the seat, right?
Whoever we put in there's a good driver and stuff, and it's just been a really good last 2 races for Jack Clark and the whole Jack Clark Taco Bell team. They're doing a fantastic job.
Good job.
Thank you.
Boy, it's been a wild day so far. First, Herbert makes Kenny Bernstein red light, then he red lights against Amato. Amato blows up an engine and coasts across, and here goes Michael Brotherton with a big engine fire, but somehow the engine keeps running. Not well enough, of course, to beat Foxworth, as you see that sporadic fire coming out of the front part of the engine of Brotherton's as he coasts across, but Foxworth moves on.
Well, Doug, this hired gun roll is kind of fun, isn't it?
You bet it is. You couldn't ask for anything any better. I got to thank Jack Clark and the guys at Taco Bell just for giving me the opportunity to be in this thing. The guys on the crew are doing great. Car's running excellent. It's not hurting any pieces. We're sneaking up on it. I think we're in real good shape.
Here comes a happy crew.
Thank you.
Well, Jack Clark sure gets high marks for being able to pick drivers. Not only does he get John Andretti, an unlikely candidate, and here comes Doug Foxworth doing a good job. But now, here could be, Steve Evans, the comeback story of the race.
Absolutely. That is a backup car for Cory McClenathan. We talked about why he has to have a backup car. They lowered the wing almost a full foot. A lot of people thought that might hurt the elapsed time. Well, it certainly did not in qualifying. They've also strengthened the chassis just behind Cory there, which is what caused the problem at Rockingham. So Cory McClenathan, the Mac attack is back. Mom, Dad, Sis, and all of them from Anaheim, California, up against another strong family operation. Tommy Johnson Jr. from Ottumwa, Iowa. And here's a young man the family would like to adopt so they could keep him around full time. Crew Chief Ronnie Swearingen, who's been doing a sensational job on this car, and the funny car of Freddie Neely when we see it. All right, so this could be a very, very good drag race here in round number 2. A couple of young lions, to use an overworked term, I guess, but it describes their attitude. They are fierce about succeeding in this sport of drag racing.
And Cory Mack, of course, playing hurt a little bit. You heard him say that he doesn't like to steer that thing, so they're going to try to run that thing, obviously, as straight and true as they possibly can.
They're set. Great leave. Great drag race. Cory McClenathan at 493, 294 miles an hour, defeats Tommy Johnson's 495 at 291. Let's go to Frank.
The break you got in the first round paid off. It gave you a chance to get the car set up. You happy now?
Yeah, we are. The first round, it kind of surprised us. We didn't expect it to do that, so we just adjusted and did good. We're happy.
Go get him.
Okay, let's take another look at that. That was some kind of a good drag race. Excellent reaction times on the part of both drivers. A 4:30 for Cory McClenathan, a 4:36 for Tommy Johnson. Basically even off the line. Basically even in terms of ETs, a 93 to a 95. But it is Cory Mack at 294 miles an hour versus a 291 for Johnson that possibly pulls it out. About a quarter of a car length moves him on.
Who is this masked man? Stay with us. We'll tell you when we come back to Memphis.
I had a look at through the reflection in the sunglasses just a few moments ago was Eddie Hill, who's currently on board the strongest, quickest top fuel car in the business. It carried him to 3 victories so far this season, and he is set low ET in round number 1. But this man, Scott Coletta, aboard his dad's top fuel dragster, has number 1 qualifier and has low ET of the meet so far to 491. Steve?
Glad to help Cory Mack get his gloves and his helmet off, but I'm proud to do that. What a great drag race. 493 to a 495.
That's fantastic. Jimmy and Ted, you know, Ted's now our assistant crew chief. He took over the big spot because Jimmy just can't do it all himself anymore. And I can't be happier for those guys just to come back from the deficit we had with the wreck and everything. I mean, what else do you say? The boys work hard for me. Without a sponsor, we're still here.
Okay, so we'll be seeing more of Cory Mack as Eddie Hill backs into position. That's his wife, Ursi, who does the duties to make sure that Eddie gets right back in line of the same tracks that he sent down during burnout. Critical little piece of maneuvering here.
And Eddie Hill has the lane choice, and as we saw, he is taking the near or left-hand side of the racetrack. So Scott Coletta, this is interesting. Coletta, the number 1 qualifier, still low elapsed time of the event, as you said, out of Ypsilanti, Michigan, up against Eddie Hill, who ran quicker than Scott did in round number 1. So what you've got here is pretty much a pick-em deal. It may depend on who stomps on the throttle first. And you know, the reaction times we give you are sometimes a little deceiving. So much of that depends on how the car reacts. And Frank Hawley has studied that situation lately and found out that half the reaction time is the car getting ready to move and react and everything coiling up. So sometimes the car can make a good driver look like a bad driver.
And the other way around, of course. And sometimes the difference between good and bad is a thousandth of a second.
Look at this one. Whoa! Eddie Hill, track record, knocks a tenth off it. 482 at 293 miles an hour, beats Scott's 491. Let's go to Frank again.
That car just keeps on charging. Could you keep up this pace all day long?
I don't know. The cloud cover really helped this deal today, and we'll look at it and see. We made a motor change right before this run. We heard a motor, so I think we'll be all right.
Get down there and see your driver.
Oh, boy, I'll tell you what. That ups the ante here big time. A 482 for Eddie Hill, and here you see him. A good launch, good reaction time on the part of both drivers, although Scott Coletta did have a slight edge as the green lights came out, but Eddie Hill uses the power and the handling of that new race car to charge into the next round at a 482. So, the pairings in the final 4, Eddie Hill will face fellow Texan Doug Foxworth, Eddie Hill with the lane choice. In the other half of the Final Four, Cory McClenathan with the lane choice against Joe Amato, who's frankly lucky to be here because he popped a blower, but Doug Herbert red-lighted. Let's go to Steve.
Do you think anybody's ever gone down this racetrack quicker than that?
That felt awful good to me. I mean, it really, really felt good. Felt outstanding. It felt like Gainesville is what it felt like.
It was close, a 482.
82. Is that loyalty of the meet by a tenth?
Track record by a tenth.
By a tenth. Thank you, Lord, and thank you, Pennzoil.
And it's clean and dry. That's the important part.
Oh, yeah, and it feels like it could do it again. I didn't feel any trouble anywhere. What a great day. Thank you. 82.
That's a double-digit number is going to stick in his mind for a while, Steve.
Oh, absolutely. It's time to go into the Fuel Coupe, one of the few dangerous race cars that Eddie Hill hasn't driven. Well, I tell you, Eddie Hill's a piece of work, isn't he? The other piece of work is Tom Hoover, whose dad in his late 80s is still building the motors for the Maple Grove, Minnesota Menace. Hoover here in the second round of funny car competition would have been up against Gary Bolger of Linwood, Illinois. But earlier today, in round number one, it was Gary Bolger in the near lane, the Creasy family car, against that real terror, Al Hoffman. But Hoffman did not have a very good run going. Bolger had a nice win, but unfortunately broke a motor. I talked with him.
We had one more motor left. Here it is, and we'll be running today.
And you sawed Al Hoffman off, one of the big guys.
Isn't it fun? I always like to go against those big guys.
May not be fun when he gets back to the pits. He said he had one more motor left. Might be no more motors left.
We'll give it our best, Steve. Thank you.
Well, in fact, that was the case. That was the last one they had, and they had to load up and head for home. So it's going to be a single for Hoover. And, of course, singles in this kind of competition are still important because lane choice could be at stake.
Oh, and Tom Hoover, though, clicks it off and puts out the chute at about three-quarter track to 6 flat, 148 miles an hour. Wonder if he was saving it or there was a problem with the car. How about Frank Hawley will know back down at the starting line with crew chief Dave Lindsay.
You guys knew you were going to have a single that round because Bolger didn't come back. Did you try anything different?
Well, we tried to move the clutch timers in a little bit, trying to gain some more ET at the other end of the track. And, well, we won't know till we see the numbers, but we're just trying to see what we can do and see if we can do good in the semifinals.
Go get them.
Thank you.
All right, next pair up as they head down the other end of the racetrack. That is Austin Coyle, crew chief or co-crew chief. On John Force's funny car, as they drop the bodywork on that machine, he is going to go against Gordon Flash Mineo, a guy, Steve Evans, who can come right out of nowhere and really hurt you.
And I'll tell you, he's darn near hurt himself, as John Force did last year with all his fires this year. That, unfortunately, has befallen Gordon Mineo. And I tell you, if those kinds of accidents and explosions won't get you down, few things will. Force, who was the unofficial crash dummy of NHRA track racing in '92, has passed that mantle over to Gordon Mineo. But so far, this pretty new Pontiac Firebird has been performing very well for Gordon. He's got to be tickled. Look at the smile on his face. That was just done right after the first qualifying session. He likes that new car. John Force, he's almost always smiling out of Yorba Linda, California, and he especially should be this year because he is dominating what he calls his comeback tour in '93, trying to wrest the championship away from arch rival Cruz Pedregon. More on that a little bit later. All right, there's Mineo moving in. Anytime you race forward, you better have brought all your horsepower with you.
And all your driving skill, because the man can race on anything this side of a gravel road. He is really good at driving, and he really understands every component of this sport.
All right, vibrating and shaking. Take a deep breath while you can. Look to the right. You don't see Flash Gordon Mineo because John Force whips him with a whoa, 524 at 284 miles an hour to Mineo's 551, only 229. But John Force did not have a characteristically good starting line light.
It's been cloudy for the last couple hours. Did you set the car up thinking the track conditions would be better?
Well, no, we knew that, and the way we've been here, it's been spinning and grabbing and spinning and grabbing, and we just figured we'd take advantage of the little better bite, and it showed up on the time slip.
Spinning and grabbing. Austin Coyle heads down to pick up John Forrest to get ready for the Final Four. Meanwhile, they're doing likewise over in the Joe Amato pit area. They're lucky to still be in competition. All the problems they've had, they'll get it fixed. That team is very deep in spare parts.
Goodys Mid-South Nationals, that is Whit Bazemore. He will be going against Wyatt Radke in more round 2 funny car action. But before we get to that, let's go to Steve Evans, who's with John Force.
I can speak John Forrest. Watch this. John, this old heap just trucked on down there to a 524. Probably scared you to death.
You don't even need me anymore. There's a number of things scaring me to death here, Steve. Trying to get that Lloyd T back just to get that 50 points back and try to stretch this lead while this car is having the consistency and it's having the luck that it's having to try to stay away from Cruz and especially stay away from Hoffman. But every round counts, and I just think that the car's performing well. My guys are doing a great job. That's all I can say.
A brief set of remarks by John Force, uncharacteristically brief, I might say. As we watch Whit Bazemore backing into position following his burnout, he's going to go against Wyatt Radke. And Wyatt is capable of some very strong runs, as is this young man, who's come a long way since he tried to struggle into funny car competition a few years back.
And earlier today, Whit Bazemore met up with Cruz Pedregon, the McDonald's Oldsmobile, and watch what happened. Bazemore upset the world champ. Well, Cruz, that had to be awfully close. Unfortunately, the other lane was the victor.
Yeah, it was a tough loss for us here. You know, we're just still struggling, unfortunately.
You know, the spark just isn't there that you had last year. 5 wins in a row. Any idea what it is?
No, Steve, you know, we've changed the combination around a little bit, and it's, you know, it's just, we just haven't quite got it. Every run we make, we think we got it, and it's something else bites us. So it's just a matter of trying to work it out.
You'll get it.
That is a baffling situation and a frustrating one for the current Winston champion. Wyatt Radke from Upland, California. He's one of the good guys in this business, and he drives very, very well.
And he's driving for one of the good guys, Johnny West. Here are two of the, well, more modest budgets in all of funny car racing. Great to see him in round 2. Head-to-head, Whit Bazemore, Wyatt Radke. And putting on a darn good show, but it's Radke by a clean car length. A lot of sparks coming out the bottom of that car, though. A 535, a competitive number. 281 miles an hour. Bazemore slows to a 543 at just 269. By 0.04 of a second, Wyatt Radke beats Whit Bazemore. And now it's Gordy Bonnin versus Chuck Etchels. Bonnin, the newest track record holder here on this drag strip in the funny car class. We told you about that earlier today. Up against Chuck Etchels.
This is, of course, the Roland Leon car. That is Roland right there, guiding Gordy Bonnin through his burnout. Gordy, of course, does have lane choice here against Etchels. This is going to be an interesting one, though, because Etchels can jump up and run very quickly. But first, let's go down to Steve with Wyatt Radke.
Well, the headers may be dragging the ground a bit, but Wyatt Radke, that's not going to spoil the moment for you. What a great day.
It's been a great weekend so far. We haven't heard apart. The thing's running good. Second qualifier, Johnny West has got this thing running great.
And a 535, that's a respectable number.
Oh, see, I didn't even know what we ran yet. That's excellent.
And you got lane choice over Hoover next time.
Oh, I need to get in the finalists, and this would just be great. We were talking about this earlier in the year. Get us on a track like this, and I think we can go a long ways. Motorola people, everybody, Krager, they're going to love us.
All right, that is Roland Leon, who's been in this business about as long as anybody currently in funny car competition, guiding his man, Gordy Bonnin, of course, a veteran himself. And look at this. That is Tim Richards working with Chuck Etchels. I wonder if they got a problem there, Steve.
I don't think so. Ken LaHaye also in there. They can fix about anything they have to for the Putnam, Connecticut runner. Gordy Bonnin, well, I'll tell you, I brought a smile to his face when I told him he'd set a track record in round number 1. Gordy also been around the sport a long time, not only as a driver, but served a stint as an executive with the National Hot Rod Association. So he knows both sides of this sport/business. Taking their time. Bonnin last the stage. Oh boy. Yeah. Who won that? You at home, who do you think won that? Well, I know, because I got a computer. Gordy Bonnin in the near lane won that 5:26 to a 5:27. 285 the winning speed. Let's go to Frank.
Excellent drag race this thing's shaping up to be. Do you think the track conditions will stay good enough so you can run that quick in the semis?
If it stays cloudy, I think it'll be a little better. We had a little problem last round. A nozzle line broke right before the lights, and we didn't have time to get the clutch seated or nothing. We was kind of guessing here, but I think the next round will be a little better.
Driver reaction times were almost identical. Neither of them very good, actually. 5.21 for Bonnin, a 5.28 for Etchells, but that just made for a great drag race.
And boy, it was a beauty. In fact, we did need the help of the electronic guy to determine who did win this thing, although at three-quarters track, you can see it looked like Chuck Etchells had it in the bag. But here comes Gordy Bonnin in a giant top-end burst to nick him right at the line, about 3 or 4 feet difference. So that sets up our final 4 in funny car. John Forrest will go against Gordy Bonnin on that great top-end charge, but Forrest will have the lane choice. Don't forget, he ran really well. Wyatt Radke, Tom Hoover. Wyatt has the lane choice, but he's got engine problems, so they're going to have to thrash in the pits before he gets to the line.
Goodys missed South Nationals in the pits of Tom Hoover. Pretty basic maintenance because Hoover saved the crew a lot of work by shutting the car off early and not doing any damage to it. It caused some lane choice for sure, but sure makes those moments easier. Well, here we go into some really stiff competition. Round 2 of the factory hot rods, as they've long been called in NHRA circles, the Pro Stock machine. Gasoline, 500 cubic inch engines, cars that love to get sideways on the burnouts. Carburetors the size of your average Dempsey dumpster. There's 2 of them with 5-speed transmissions. All in all, they are a handful, and the fans love them.
And they love these 2 guys. These are 2 of their favorites. That's Scott Geoffrion. You're on board him on the Wayne County Dodge. He's the #1 qualifier in Pro Stock. And in fact, that's a breakthrough because so far this year, nobody has been #1 qualifier except Warren Johnson. This young man, he has got to be a winner here in the Winston Championship competition level sometime soon. He's just too good. The car's too good to have it otherwise.
Bruce Allen, he's been in the winner's circle many times for the famed Rear and Morrison shop out of Arlington, Texas. There he is in the near lane. Finished #8 in the world last year. Scott Geoffrion in the Dodge #2 in the world, to, of course, Warren Johnson. Free stage. They'll bring the motors up high and drop the clutch. Working that 5-speed. There's Bruce Allen. And it is Geoffrion at 7:18, 192 miles an hour. Allen made a good race out of it with a 500s hole shot.
All right, we'll talk to Scott in a second, but first, we've got an all-GM race coming up. That is Jerry Ekman on board his Pontiac against Larry Morgan in that vivid purple Oldsmobile Cutlass. They will be going in just a second, but first, let's go down to Steve and Scott.
It's got to come from behind 7:18.
I'll take it any way I can get it. You know, these guys from Opar, they're doing a great job at this Wayne County Dodge today, and I just hope I can keep battling this flu all day. I've had a tough time with it today, but we'll be fine. I'm sure.
Well, remember, Warren Johnson won at Atlanta with a terrible case of the flu, so that could be good for him.
Right there is Bill Orndorff trying to fly, I think, directing Jerry Ekman back at his track very intensely. All right, Larry Morgan, a past U.S. Nationals winner. He's won the Budweiser Challenge, that 50 grand 3 times in his career out of the Buckeye State. Up against Jerry Ekman, who is now a resident of Buckeye State after moving from California a couple of years ago. So serious they are about their drag racing. They needed to get more geographically located to test and to race. All right, so you got the yellow Pontiac and you got the purple Oldsmobile. You paid your money, now take your choice. They're in the second round of Pro Stock. Whoa, a foul start, a red light for Larry Morgan. However, that is, he might have thought maybe he was down on power and needed to gamble. Ekman at 7:29, 189 miles per hour. So he will head on off to the final 4.
Another pair doing their burnouts. In fact, dual burnouts. That is Kurt Johnson going against David Rampi. We talked to him earlier, remember. just getting his act together. First year in pro stock, and Rampi will definitely be a player in this league. Going to have to get by Kurt Johnson, who does have lane choice. First, let's go to Steve.
Well, Jerry, that had to be the prettiest red light you've seen in a long time when there's 7:29.
Yeah, it looks like it's good to be here, though, Steve. Yeah, I did see the red light, and I saw my wind light come on. It wasn't the best, but it's an improvement for us because anywhere we go from here had to be up because we were down so far.
Well, that's true. Jerry had a terrific early 1992 season and then tailed off for some reason or another. Excellent driver, excellent crew, and they just can't seem to get the handle back.
2 weeks ago in Atlanta, Kurt Johnson made the final round against his own father, only to come up a few hundred short. And David Rampi, Greenwood, Indiana, car owned by Harold Stout Racing, has really dedicated himself to getting better in a pro stock car. He was a Winston champ in sportsman racing. He works on the practice tree, works on the car, just cramming his head full of all the knowledge it takes to be competitive against somebody like Kurt Johnson, who's been doing it literally all his life.
He's been around it all his life. He hasn't been driving that much, but Kurt Johnson is showing some real talent here.
And so is David Rampi. Whoa! Yes, jump, Harold. It's good. He wins it at 7:27, 189 miles an hour to Kurt Johnson, 7:28 at 189. Let's have another look at it, Brock.
Boy, and I'll tell you what, that was a close drag race. Johnson had him off the line by a wink. A little bit better reaction time, but it was Rampi's slightly lower ET, a 7:27 to a 7:28, equal top speed. So Rampi moves on after a close finish against Kurt Johnson. This, in fact, is the farthest he has ever advanced in pro stock competition. Got to be happy. Steve is with him.
This is your first season, so I'll tell you that's what a thousandth of a second winning margin feels like.
Well, we've already won one by thousandths, and a thousandth is as good as a mile. It doesn't make any difference. As long as that wind light comes on your lane, that's what it's all about. And the guys back at the trailer just doing a great job getting this car to where it'll go down the track.
Well, Rampi disposed of one Johnson, but here comes another one, and this is the main man, the patriarch. That is Bob Glidden, of course, but he's going to go against Warren Johnson, Kurt's father. And this, Steve, is one of the, perhaps the most intense rivalry in all of professional drag racing.
Oh, absolutely. They just don't much care for each other, actually. It's not a bitter feud or anything. They're just different kind of guys. You know, there's no reason to hang out, no reason to party together. There is Rusty Glidden. He looks a bit disappointed, and he should be. He failed to qualify the Glidden #2 Ford probe, and now is out helping his dad. And, of course, Bob Glidden, the 10-time Winston champion, he has done everything you could do. Warren Johnson tried to equal that. Now, he qualified #7 at a 7:23, beat Lewis Warden in round 1. Warren Johnson, well, he qualified #2, as Brock said earlier, for the first time this year at 7:16, just a heartbeat behind Scott Geoffrion. And the two of them, so far anyway, are headed for a collision course if they keep winning the way they are.
Well, right now, though, he's got to get by Glidden. And remember, Glidden has beaten him this year. So Glidden has had a couple of relatively soft seasons prior to this, for him at least. But he seems to be coming back, and they seem to be getting that board to really work for them.
Absolutely. They have a victory this season at Houston. Glidden forced Johnson to stage first. Glidden going for any advantage he can get. He takes his time. Perfect light by Bob Glidden. I mean, perfect to the 1,000. And Warren Johnson, something happens mechanically, obviously. A 7:34, 190. Not a great pass by Glidden, but enough. Warren Johnson clicked it, I mean, off completely. 782, only 144 miles an hour.
So a long time since we've not seen a Johnson in the Final Four. David Rampi and Bob Glidden go against each other. David Rampi, the newcomer, will have lane choice against the great veteran. Scott Geoffrion against Jerry Ekman, and Geoffrion, who appears to be on a roll here, has lane choice.
Well, congratulations, Mr. Perfect Reaction Time.
Blind Hog gets an acorn every now and then, Steve. Johnson, I thought he made a big mistake when he took the other lane. The Dodge went out and made a real nice run in that lane, but the Dodge's combination is so much different than anything any of the rest of us run. I'm glad he did it, though.
Little fun on the starting line there.
Well, you know, the guy's got us, you know, he's got a hold on us, you know, and you've got to do everything you can do. I mean, we're just out here struggling to make a round, and to beat Warren, you know, we feel pretty good right now.
The story on Warren Johnson, a plug popped out of the air shifter and bled all the air out, and it wouldn't chip.
All right, that is the crew of Gourdy Bonnin. They're going to put a new, fresh motor into their funny car as they face off against John Force.
Back at the NHRA Goodys Mid-South Nationals, I'm Steve Evans along with Brock Yates and Frank Hawley, and that is Cory McClenathan. What a gutty performance he has put on here today. You know the story with his very painful burns on his hands. He's still out there, and now he's up against Joe Amato. And Amato may still be in competition, Brock, but he has had a crummy day performance-wise.
He really has. He won the first round on a hole shot with a very mediocre ET, and then, of course, Doug Herbert red-lighted in the second round, and Joe popped a blower off, and he just coasted through, so that time isn't even worth recording.
In fairness, though, on Friday, in the first qualifying session, Amato had such a violent engine explosion that it burned all of the computer wiring, all of the electrical wiring, burned the seat belts out of his car, burned his fire suit off, and they are still coming back from that. Here is Cory Mack in the near lane. Cory has lane choice over Amato. Everyone's had a shot at Joe, and no one has capitalized yet today. And neither will Cory Mack. The clutch apparently malfunctions. He smokes the tires instantly. Amato with a very late parachute, but it's out, and this is a very long racetrack, so he's okay. And another really subpar run for Joe at 5:12.285. Frank?
Well, I'll tell you, you guys have had a rough weekend out here, but you're in the final once again. You're going to get things sorted out a little better. You might have a tougher round in the final.
Yeah, I think so, but when it's your day, and luck has been with us today, and Joe won first round for us with a hole shot. Cory smoked the tires. It should have been his win. We're struggling big time. We're working on it as hard as we can, and maybe we'll get lucky in the final. Who knows?
Well, presuming that Eddie Hill gets by Doug Foxworth, Joe and the guys are going to need all the luck that they can muster, because this man right now is just on a charge. He's tearing through fields everywhere around the country, and Eddie Hill's going to be really tough to handle. But right now, it's Doug Foxworth who has the dubious honor of trying to beat him. As we watch Foxworth complete his burnouts in the Jack Clark dragster, it will be Eddie Hill with a lane choice by a wide margin. But first, let's go to Steve.
Well, Joe, a very workmanlike elapsed time of 5:12, but we're talking, and the motor is in one piece for change.
Steve, you know, when it's your day, I guess. And when I'm lucky, the guys should go home, because it just seems like that's how my luck runs. But we're struggling with the car, trying to get it to run on 8 cylinders. You know, got a lot of nitro in it, and I'll take a win late any way it comes. You know, once you get to the final, anything can happen.
You think you could win this without even running a 4?
Well, it's happened before, you know, but Eddie's running real good right now. I expect him to be in the final. But hey, in top fuel drag race, anything can happen.
But as we just saw, if you overpower the racetrack, you lose.
So Joe Amato hangs in there by his fingernails, but he is in it, and he's going to be in the finals one way or the other.
Well, of course, Joe Amato and a lot of people here picking that yellow car of Eddie Hill. Now, Jack Clark, the car owner for Doug Foxworth, isn't here. But down on the starting line, I think as the camera pans over, we'll see it. One of the crew members has a cellular phone, and they have dialed up Jack Clark in the dugout somewhere in baseball so that he can keep apprised of what's going on here. That may blow the speaker right out of the cellular phone. Clark, hold the receiver away from your ear, son. Oh, Eddie Hill with a big advantage off the starting line. Foxworth was late, but he charges. It is not enough. Doug Foxworth cards 297 miles an hour. Not enough, though. Eddie Hill at 491 to a losing 495. The winning speed, 292 miles an hour. Frank is with Fuzzy Carter, Eddie's crew chief.
Man, when you're hot, you're hot.
Yeah, when it's your day, it's your day. We just backed it up a little bit for this run, and just want to be conservative, didn't want to smoke the tires, and just try to make it run pretty decent.
So are we going to back it up for the final or go for it?
We'll probably try to leave it alone and try to win us a drag race. Thank you.
Okay, I'll tell you what, Steve. Tim Farrell, the crew chief on Jack Clark's car, deserves a whole lot of credit. Even though they lost this race, how many passes have we seen Andretti and Foxworth make without smoking the tires? They've adjusted that clutch. That car is really consistent, and boy, does it get a big top end. 297 miles an hour, although Eddie Hill once again rolls on into the finals with that excellent pass of 491. So he appears to be an unbelievable overdog, as it were, against Joe Amato, who struggled all day long. Eddie Hill will have lane choice, but believe me, anything can happen.
Eddie Hill's dominance continues, shredding the competition with a 491. Just perfect.
491. Well, that was just about what we wanted to do that time. We sure didn't want to beat the yellow car, which we've been known to do in the past, and that's right on the game plan. So that's dynamite. That was an excellent run. We're having such a good time, you wouldn't believe it.
I'd believe it, and you've got a lane choice by a country mile over Amato.
Yeah, we really do. It looks like on paper we got a real good shot to win us another race. I just hope we, like I say, I hope we don't beat the yellow car. I hope we don't beat ourselves.
Unfortunately, they don't race on paper.
I know. We're going to have to race on the racetrack, and we got the toughest guy out there to run, a guy that's got the most championships. We'll have to see what happens.
All right.
And to quote Joe, anything can happen in Top Fuel Racing. So we'll see coming up. Right now, though, that is Jerry Ekman's crew working on his Pro Stock car. He'll face Scott Geoffrion in the semifinals. Stick with us. We'll be back at Memphis right after this.
Goodys Mid-South Nationals are fueling up the Dodge Daytona Scott Geoffrion to face off with Jerry Ekman in the Final Four. Geoffrion's been in the Final Four many times, 9 times a runner-up, never a winner. Will that change today? You know, a quick word about NHRA Now, presented by Castro GTX. It's a 24-hour drag racing information line with the latest info on your favorite drivers and events. Just call 1-900-468-NHRA. Per-minute charges will appear on your telephone bill.
All right, it's time to pay some bills in Funny Car Final Four competition. That's Tom Hoover backing up, completing his burnout against Wyatt Radke. And Wyatt, well, he dropped off a set of headers, Steve, in that last pass. Car's in good shape. Johnny West has got that thing ready to go. And, in fact, he has lane choice over Hoover.
Well, if you could convert enthusiasm into horsepower, there'll be no keeping Wyatt Radke out of the final round. He's never been in one before, and his desire is so great that it can't hurt this operation one bit. Tom Hoover, he's been there quite a few times, was a winner in 1992 at the Phoenix race. This year, getting some help from Pioneer Electronics, and that has been a big boost to his spare parts inventory. Here we go. The starting line advantage by about 0.04 of a second, and a lap time as well of 5:44. It's a 5:52, 256 miles an hour. Hoover again clicks it off a little bit early. Frank?
In the final.
Well, it's been a long time, and for Pioneer, well, all I can say is we hopefully have some good luck in the final, and we're just giving our best.
You going to try and pick it up a little bit, or are you?
We're going to try. We're trying to be a little conservative because we've, you know, you start getting carried away, you step on your own self there and smoke the tires or something. We don't want to do that. Thank you.
Okay, here comes a good one. This is Gordy Bonnin. He will go against John Force in the other half of the Final Four. Already got one of the finals. That's Tom Hoover, of course. Will it be this man? That is John Force. A little clutch smoke coming up into the cockpit of his funny car. Gordy Bonnin having completed his burnouts. Let's go down to Steve with Tom Hoover.
Ah, yes, the art of entertainment, as you call yourself. This is fun.
That's right, it really is fun, and hope we can put together some better action for the final here.
Are you sandbagging this car a little bit? A 5:44 looked awfully easy.
It was very easy. We'll turn the volume up a little bit in the Pioneer car here next round. Let's see what happens.
Good light.
All right, that's John Force getting ready to go, and his Oldsmobile funny car. He's buckled into that thing, but they're going to lift the bodywork one more time for Austin Coyle to go in there and fiddle with some kind of arcane adjustments. Nobody's quite sure what they do in there, Steve.
Might not be doing anything, knowing Austin Coyle. It used to be they did the burnout on one magneto and had to hook the other one up, but I don't think that's the case anymore. Roland Leong and Gordy Bonnin have something that John Force wants. They have low elapsed time of the event. If they keep it, whether they win the race or not, if they keep that, they get 50 Winston points. Force wants those points in his column. We mentioned that earlier, and that's exactly what he was talking about. Let's see if he can do it. John Force and Gordy Bonnin. Ooh, this could be good. Bonnin wastes no time. He goes right in. Force doesn't inconvenience him. What do you see? What don't you see? You don't see Gordy Bonnin, because John Force hammers out a 5:27. Not enough to get those 50 points, though. At 286 miles an hour, Bonnin at a slow 5:53, 242.
Austin, your opponent in the final isn't running quite as fast as you. How do you approach it now?
Well, I think we approach just trying to stay with consistency. That run there, it showed a 27, but he went in deep, so that would have been probably another 24, and it's cooling off a little bit. If the weather conditions stay the same, we'll just try and run the same.
So the stage is set for the funny car final here. John Force against Tom Hoover, and much like Joe Amato and Top Fuel, Hoover would seem to be a major underdog, but anything can happen. Now, let's go to Steve.
Well, John, you were mentally pumped up to race Gordy Bonnin, a 4-1 light.
Oh, yeah. The numbers that old Hot Rod's putting down out there, and I know Leonard, and I know Roland, and I know Gord 240 on the lights. I know what he can do to you. And all the strategy, when they didn't come up there because they were having problems, I was trying to keep my mind right because I knew they'd come around the bend, and they did come. And I tried to deep stage him because I didn't want to get burned there on the light, and I didn't know. I knew our car could run another number, but maybe that's one I just kind of pulled out a little there.
Well, 27 gives you lane choice over Tom Hoover. He may have more.
We're excited, but you know what I've really seen happen here, and there's a lot of cars here on the program, like with Krager, that run their wheels and stuff, but there's a lot of cars that are coming out of nowhere that are starting to make funny cars big. You know why? Because John Force is sweating every week. My people from Castrol and O's, they're happy, and Jolly Rancher, but let me tell you something. Gordy Bonnin, you look over there, the top fuel tuners are coming back to race against us down here with the General over there. We got a great class. This is a great sport, and I'm just glad we got these guys around, and they are doing hell on Cruz's championship.
So are you.
Absolutely. As Joe Amato signs a few autographs prior to his race against Eddie Hill in the Top Fuel Final. That's coming up, and lots more. Stick with it from Memphis.
Car for the first time in important competition. You know, let me take just a moment to invite you to become a member of a very special organization, the National Hot Rod Association. For $52 a year, you get 48 issues of National Dragster, a patch, a pin, a rule book, and a lot more. And if you order by calling the number on your screen, you'll get a free copy of Diamond B's home video, Drag Racing 92. So, what the heck? Make that call. Join up. David Rampi's a member, and he's going up against Bob Glidden right now, Brock. He's got to have a little lump in his throat, I think.
Yeah, I think he does. He certainly is on the comeback. There's, as we said earlier, the winningest driver of all time in Winston Championship competition. But the last couple of seasons have been kind of iffy for him as Warren Johnson has just dominated things. But now he faces the possibility of moving into yet another final and possibly winning his second race of this season.
The motors come up. Like one clutch pedal activated both cars. Oh, and what a finish! Bob Glidden, 724 with a 3. David Rampi, 724 with a 3. It was Glidden's teeny-weeny hole shot that made the difference.
This is a perfect pro stock race. David Rampi, new to this kind of competition, but you wouldn't know it from this race, running against the master, Bob Glidden, in a perfect pass on the part of both drivers. Boy, did we need the electronic guy to figure out who won this one. Look at that finish.
Bob, if you knew for sure who won that one, you have a sixth sense about these things.
Well, I knew, Steve, because I saw my wind light come on the side of the track.
That's unfair. They shouldn't have that out there. I like to tell you, 724, a thousandth of a second was the difference.
It was a close race. It was a great race. Matter of fact, for me, it was a great race. It might not have been quite that great for David, but it's a good race.
All right, let's see who will face in the final round.
That's not hard to tell.
Well, let's see. I would imagine he thinks it's going to be Scott Geoffrion, Steve, but Jerry Ekman is more than capable of running winning numbers any time.
And Geoffrion has had no luck in his pro stock career. I mean, none. doesn't need any luck. Another 7:18, 192 miles an hour. Drops Ekman and his Pontiac off pace at a 7:27.
So the pairing for the Pro Stock Final, Scott Geoffrion versus Bob Glidden. Geoffrion will have the lane choice by a fair margin, 7:18 to a 7:24.
You know, Scott, Bob Glidden was smiling down here. He had won his round. He heard your 7:18 and it wiped the grin right off him.
Well, you know, that's just, these guys back in Fairfield, they've been working hard on this car, and we're consistent today. That's the one thing we've been lacking all year. We've been able to run with anybody at a given time. It's just been able to do it consistently. We've been hard in that area, so I'm happy today, boy. I'm feeling like heck, but I mean, I'm real happy to have this Mopar Parts Dodge Daytona in the final round.
Any particular lane you like, the one you were just in?
Oh, it doesn't really matter too much with this cloud cover here today. You know, I think both lanes are pretty equal. They're both bumpy.
All right, we've set the stage for the finals in all three pro categories. That is Tom Hoover's crew. He'll face John Force in the funny car final. Coming up soon. Stay with us from the Goodys Mid-South Nationals.
NHRA Goodys Mid-South Nationals. The tools are out as they thrash on the aluminum motor in the Eddie Hill Top Fuel Dragster to get it ready to face off with Joe Amato. Believe it or not, that's all just regular maintenance. Right now it is time, though, for the Pro Stock final round. Bob Glidden, who has driven his way to this point. Excellent reaction times up against Scott Geoffrion in the Dodge that under the tutelage of Darrell Alderman won 2 Winston Championship. Scott has been runner-up in it 9 individual times, and boy, can he break through here. As you know, he's carrying a pretty mean case of the flu, but I've never seen that affect a race driver any way but positive. They seem to somehow overcome it.
Well, Warren Johnson had a big dose of it at Atlanta just a few weeks ago, and he won it. So, as I said earlier, this could very well be the winning factor for Scott Geoffrion. Heaven only knows he's long overdue, as was John Force, remember, Steve, before he finally broke through.
Yeah, I think Force was running up like 12 times before he broke through, and now he has 24 national event titles to his credit. Staging carefully is Geoffrion, the only Dodge in Pro Stock. It's a shorter wheelbase car. Very difficult to drive. Even Bob Glidden will tell you that. He wouldn't want to trade with him. Well, maybe today he would.
All right.
Bob's playing that game again. He's got nothing to lose. Make Geoffrion stage first. Oh, Geoffrion, a nice lead. A better lead than Glidden. Will it be enough? Geoffrion has won his first NHRA national event. A 7:21 to a 7:23, but Scott won the war off the starting line. Let's go to Frank Hawley at the starting line.
Dave, this is the one you've been looking for. Tell me about it.
Well, it's been about a year and a half coming, but he's really progressed good. He's doing an excellent job. He gets better every race, and we've just got to keep improving every race. And he's going to be there and really be good as we go along here.
Congratulations.
Oh, you can be sure that the Wayne County guys and Scott Geoffrion are going to string this one up on their VCRs a few times, because this is his first ever championship run, and he does it in fine style. He beat Glidden off the line, better reaction time, better ET, of course, a 7:21 to a 7:23. Equal miles per hour, both 191.08 miles an hour, but there is the margin of difference and the victory. Let's go to Steve with the winner.
And Bob Glidden is part of it. Scott, when you're sick as a dog, there's no better medicine for a race car driver than his first ever big win.
It sure isn't. You know, I just can't wait to bring that trophy home to my mom, Dad, Amy, everybody at home in Mahwah, New Jersey. These guys from Wayne County, they've been working so hard. They've stuck with me behind everything I've done. They've made me more consistent. The car's more consistent. Mopar is a sponsor. Dodge is a car. I'm happy.
I can't add a word to that. Go, rest, will you please?
Okay, what a happy young man, and what a end of a period of frustration. Another pat on the back from a great champion, Bob Glidden. You're going to see more of him, obviously, as we get ready for funny car final competition here. And once more, we're on board with John Force. And once more, Steve Evans, will you talk with him down at the other end? That's the question.
Yeah, I can virtually assure you, no, he will do all the talking. I will be down there, however. Well, so far, in our first final pro stock, we saw the favorite come through, Scott Geoffrion. That man, Tom Hoover, is probably not the favorite here. It's got to be John Force. And as we pointed out earlier, Force, he wants a throat-ripping performance, as Don the Snake Prudhomme always likes to call it, where you dominate everything. So he wants to beat Hoover. He wants to get the 50 points for low ET, take that away from Bonnin, and leave them nothing but scraps.
Well, after losing the title to Cruz Pedregon last season in a crazy kind of series of events that saw him lose the championship really at the last hour, John Force, to use a cliche, got a wake-up call, I think. The whole team did, and they are just so intense.
Absolutely. They added Larry Frazier to their team just strictly as an engine builder to assemble the parts into the block to make sure they're perfect. Maybe that has cut down on their engine explosions and the resulting fires that John had so many of last year. That's really what cost him the championship. Tom Hoover, been around drag racing as long as there's been drag racing, originally in front-motor top-fuel cars, then into funny cars in the match race circuit of the 60s. He's been an NHRA national event winner before. He'd like to be again. Let's watch. Look at the flames out of Force's car. Hoover had problems, shut it off. They have road-ripped them. A 5:21 lower lap time of the event, 283 miles an hour. Frank Hawley with Austin.
Austin, your prediction was wrong. You said you were going to try and run some kind of high 20.
Well, you know, the conditions improved a little bit here. The air got a little bit better. And, of course, you know, he didn't try to stage deep this time, hoping that we just might get that extra 50 points for low ET of the meet. And, you know, this team's working really good lately, obviously. And Bernie and myself and the guys are, like, you know, doing a pretty good job. But, you know, Force is always right there to do what he can. And let me say hi to my wife. Haven't seen her in weeks. And, like, it's a great day.
All right, there is another look at the championship pass at John Force. Good launch, all kinds of power, as you can see, runs the low ET of the event. Hoover breaks, and that's the end of it. Let's go to Steve.
John, the Memphis Jinx is over 5:21. You've won for the first time here.
I'm really tired, Steve. I think the strain of the Memphis, I followed that fear of that fire every round, and Coyle said it was gone, and my guys, they took care of me again, and we're excited. We're in the points saying we think we can be strong, but I think there's more pressure, agreement about it every day, and it's really making it tough on me.
Well, an oddly subdued John Force as we look at Fuzzy Carter. He's getting ready to send Eddie Hill to the line against Joe Amato in the Top Fuel Final. We'll be back with that race right after this.
Number 2. Only 2 machines remain here in eliminations at the NHRA Goodys Mid-South Nationals, and we have done saved the best for last. The fastest accelerating vehicles in the world, top fuel dragsters, and what better matchup than Joe Amato, the 5-time champ, and Eddie Hill, who wants to be the 1-time champ. And this is all over at the end of the year. The Joe Amato crew, they have really struggled. I told you about the huge fire on Friday. They shouldn't even be around, but you can't leave Joe Amato out there this many rounds without that crew getting something figured out. Eddie Hill knows that.
Yeah, he's slipped the noose too many times, especially when Doug Herbert red-lighted and Joe Amato blew the blower off that thing. So he theoretically is not in this race because Eddie Hill, low ET of the event, 3-event winner. I mean, he seems to be an overwhelming favorite at this point.
And Ursi's been keeping tally on the points. They're 482 is low elapsed time of the event. If that doesn't change, that'll put 50 in their column. And let's point out that with Ed McCullough going out in round number 1, Joe Amato is now number 2 in points, about 1,200 behind Eddie Hill. Amato, whole shot Hill. Hill comes back, not enough. Oh, my. Joe Amato, 497. Eddie Hill, 493. Amato's whole shot did it 293 miles an hour for Amato, faster than Hill's 291. Frank?
Well, I'll tell you, you know, I'd never say when Joe Amato wins a drag race it's an upset, but that almost looked like one. You guys really pulled it out.
Yeah, first thing I want to say is how about that driver? He's done an excellent job for us. Twice he saved us today. We've been struggling all weekend. We think maybe we found the problem. It stepped up a little bit here in the final, and
maybe English Town will be a little bit better for us, but I'm just too excited to even talk right now, to be honest with you.
Congratulations. Let's take another look at that great start.
Okay, we will, Frank, and there you see Joe Amato with a great hole shot, a 430 light against a 495 light. Not a bad one for Hill, but he obviously laid back a little bit, perhaps figuring that he was just going to outpower Joe Amato. That was not the case. Even though he ran a slightly better ET, it was Amato in the winner's circle, and Steve is with him.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Joe knows reaction times. A 97 to whip to 93.
Steve, I knew the pressure was going to be on. I told my wife in the trailer before we went out, you know, having the new Snoopy on his helmet and my Lucky Rabbit's foot and my bag of tricks has definitely helped. But my team did a good job all weekend. You know, we struggled. The car has been running lousy, and we just worked harder and harder. And we just, you know, the luckier we got, the better it got. You know, and all I can say is all the folks in Team Valvoline and just send you guys into the race, Indianapolis, and hope you can do the same thing. But this was the oil wars.
And this guy was coming, I'm telling you. You were catching him.
Well, the Pennzoil team had a good weekend. I mean, we'd have rather won, you know, but our guys overcame a lot of obstacles, and the car ran good, the track record and all. I should have been a little quicker in the final, obviously. You know, this guy showed me how to leave there. I hope I can remember how to leave next time. But we had a great weekend. It was a good time for all.
It sure was, as Joe Amato wins at Top Fuel. John Force, Scott Geoffrion